So you're gonna play Curse of Strahd, huh? You're gonna step into the misty lands of Barovia and attempt to stop an evil vampire of dark powers from getting laid. You're gonna be tormented by this creepy vampire while also visiting all the locations of Barovia like a damn tourist. Oh look! Hanging corpses! Perhaps you stumbled into this forgotten demi-plane or you were born into it. Either the case, Barovia has lots of adventures to be had in it. Here's how to play Curse of Strahd. So Barovia's got this big old map, and you're going to have characters playing in it. They're going to be going place to place, taking notes, discovering locations, and wouldn't it be fun to have an interactive map for them where all those notes would be organized like a wiki page? Then check out World Anvil. Their tool is built from the ground up to help DMs and players have a smoother and fun time playing RPGs, whether they are pre-written or not. It's even better for games that are not pre-written because you can world build everything into your World Anvil. You can build your worlds or run your campaigns. And hey, they just updated their word editor to make everything easier to preview and see, so when you present it to your players, it looks exactly how you want it to. Go check out the sponsor for this video, World Anvil. There's a link in the description and the comments. Welcome to Barovia. This magical place of fog and darkness has been home to Count Strahd von Zarovich. His backstory is pretty extensive, but an otherwise interesting and important story to the adventure as a whole. In fact, one of the magic items the party can get in this game is his backstory. We're gonna go through this as fast as possible. First thing you need to know about Strahd, he is a vampire. But before he was a vampire, he was a man, in case you didn't know any of that. Strahd was born a cold, stoic, and nearly psychopathic man. The highlight of his life was when he defeated the enemies of his dead father in a valley. Strahd was so enamored by the valley's beauty and countless dead people, he said, yeah, I'm gonna live here. But with no people to vanquish or puppies to torture, he realized he wasn't in the golden years anymore, so he decided to become immortal and made a blood pact with the Shadowfell. Yeah, okay, Strahd, that's a great idea! So Ravenovia, his mother, poured all of her love into Sergei, Strahd's little brother, who wasn't a distraught psychopath. Way to go, Mom! One day Strahd got lonely, so he says, Mama, brother, come live with me in the giant castle I named after you. So she does, and then dies on the way to the castle. Gee, I wonder who did that. But now he's got a beautiful valley, a castle,
a dark ritual that is yet to take form,
and a little brother, who is now an orphan and lives with his creepy older brother. One day, Strahd was getting lonely again, so he fell in love with a peasant woman named Tatiana. And by fell in love, I mean he had a hole in his life that he wanted to fill up because he didn't know what kind of person he was, and he became creepily obsessed with her beauty and became an r/nice guy and threw gifts and money at her in hopes that she would love him. Turns out Strahd's a cold-hearted weirdo who's scarred by war and other things, and Tatiana instead falls in love with Sergei. So Strahd does some self-reflection, tries to understand why Tatiana would choose Sergei, and he decides it's all Sergei's fault. So he murders Sergei and drinks his blood! Oh! Which in turn seals the pact with the dark powers! Oh, okay, good job, Strahd! Then he chases Tatiana out to the gardens in Castle Ravenloft, and she yeets herself off the balcony to escape creepy murder Bloodface. As Strahd stares in horror watching Tatiana commit suicide, his guards decide, you know what? This is kind of the worst person ever. We should do something about that. And so they do. They firing squad Strahd broad in front of God. But that don't work. The dark powers kept their word and Strahd gets his immortality. Oh, also, now he's a vampire. So he murders his guards, and now he's got no one left, and the spirits of his ancestors go... So they lock off Barovia from the rest of the world, and it becomes its own demi-plane where Strahd rules for eternity. Yay! This is where your players are going. Yay! Strahd is the most important part of this adventure. Playing him is pivotal to the game. You see, Strahd isn't an endgame boss villain. He periodically shows up through the game, tormenting your players. So here's a few things you should know when playing him. Strahd has goals. If there's anything he cares about, it's Irina Kolyana. Why? Who's our Irina Kolyana, you ask? I don't know. She's just some lady. In Barovia, when people die, their souls don't even get to leave. Instead, they just go into new babies that are born, and they have a likeness to the previous person who had died. So if too many babies are born and not enough people have died, people with no souls show up, and they're just meaningless husks. There's a really good introduction to this event in Kretsk. I highly recommend running it for your players to really set in how awful everything is. So Irina is a random lady who was born with Tatiana's soul, so she kind of looks and acts like her a little bit, but doesn't really have any of her memories. So Strahd, of course, freaks out and realizes, wait a second, she doesn't love me. She committed suicide when I tried to get her to love me. I'll just charm and kidnap her. He's crazy and would rather turn his lover into a vampire spawn and obey his orders than actually love him, because he's a terrible person. The book also states that another one of Strahd's goals is killing Rudolf van Richten, who is a self-proclaimed vampire hunter. I don't understand this one. Their backstories don't align or coincide, or there's nothing terrible that Strahd did to make Rudolf hate him, or Rudolf did something to make Strahd hate him, and the only real reason Strahd has any reason to kill Rudolf is to make everyone in Barovia feel hopeless, because there is no one to stop him now. Ho ho ho. Strahd's second goal should be make sure everyone in Barovia is hopeless. And number 3 of Strahd's goals is to find someone else to rule Barovia. He's tired and doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yes. Forever sleep.
And he thinks he might remove the curse. He typically looks at party members that could fit the bill, specifically any adventurer who is like him, creepy, jealous, cold, malicious. He'll try to communicate with this person, but it'll kind of lead to nothing. Strahd, no matter what, will always realize that he's number 1 and no one could ever rule Barovia. It's more of a way that you can get Strahd to communicate with the adventurers and have little roleplay bits. But with those goals in mind, you should have a good idea on how to roleplay Strahd. You're a stoic, cold, misguided, crazy old fool who is so drunk on power that he wants to play with the things that are going to kill him first. Don't bring in Strahd every 3 seconds into the game. I'd say bring him in every 5 to 8 sessions if you play that often. He should definitely show up before they go to the castle, but only to complete his goals and if the adventure specifies. He's not just going to show up and say, hey, what's up, I'm Strahd, and then leave. Also, remember, Strahd is a wizard. Being immortal as he is, he's probably got access to nearly all the spells in existence. So remember, scrying and alter self and modify memory, those, Strahd can definitely cast those. Alright, we gotta talk about one more thing. To really understand the vampire himself, let's take a look at his stat block. Oh god, it's terrible! Curse of Strahd projects your characters will end the game at around level 10, meaning their final confrontation with Strahd will be at level 10. From my experience running this game, his stat block sucks. Shitty damage, easy saves, and terrible spells. But what if I told you that you're playing him all wrong? I'm going to show you how you can make him a bit more of a challenge. This guy has stood up to so many beings over the years, I feel he should be a bit more powerful. I'm not saying his numbers should be bumped up, though you could do that. But in general, you want a strategy when you play Strahd. The players should beat him with wits, not with brute force. Maybe some brute force. First of all, his weaknesses. Half of these weaknesses don't really apply. Forbiddance. He can't enter a residence without an invitation from one of the occupants. The opening quote to Strahd is that he is the land and rules over Barovia. It is his residence. Strahd should be able to enter any occupants that is built in Barovia. Yes, I know this contradicts my story from years ago, but I've grown and I'm a smart boy now. Harmed by running water. He takes 20 acid damage if he ends his turn in running water. The players could use this one. Fortunately, there's very little running water in Curse of Strahd. The only one is the waterfall at River Ivlis. You see, it says running water. Throwing a bucket of water, him taking a bath, shower, or even the rain is not running water. In order for Strahd to start melting his skin off, it needs to be a sink, a river, or a waterfall to hurt him. Yes, it's very specific. I know, I don't understand it either. But if the rain hurts Strahd, then he should have been dead already. Stake to the heart. If a piercing weapon made of wood is driven into his heart while he is incapacitated in his coffin, he is paralyzed until the stake is removed. Why is this a weakness? I would also be paralyzed if a stick was shoved through my sternum. This one sticks still. Needs some form of weakness, and I guess the power of Christ compels you is still valid here in D&D land. Whatever. Sunlight hypersensitivity. While in sunlight, Strahd takes 20 radiant damage at the start of his turn, and he has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. Guess what? There's no sunlight in Barovia. There are namely 4 ways to get this one on Strahd. The spells Dawn and Sunburst, and the 2 magic items, the Sunblade and the Holy Symbol of Ravenkind. Fortunately enough for Strahd, Sunblade is an 18th level spell, and no characters should be near that level at the end of this adventure. However, Dawn could be used against him by a 9th or 10th level cleric, and could actually get some sunlight on him. For this one to work, the sunlight needs to be hitting Strahd at the start of his turn. So if the cleric casts Dawn, Strahd can easily use his legendary action, move, and just step out of it so that the dawn isn't on him anymore. So yeah, kinda sucks. 2 magic items the party can find are the only other ways that they could get sunlight on him. Strahd should try his best to make sure that they don't acquire these items. It's like his one weakness, basically. However, if they happen to open up with their big ol' praise the sun power, Strahd has an extra trick up his sleeve, the Heart of Sorrow. This is literally a big-ass heart in Castle Ravenloft that acts as temporary hit points of Strahd. I literally used this in our Arcane Arcade game to show that the icon of Ravenloft apparently did nothing to him and made the players feel hopeless and sad. Yay, Curse of Strahd. Strahd, while in Castle Ravenloft, can also just clip through walls, shut doors, and lock them, and summon shadows and specters. Strahd should also always have some form of posse with him when in combat, whether it be vampires, wolves, or whatever. Turn economy. Use the turn economy. If you take Strahd on just his stat block and have him fight the players 1v4, he's gonna get fucked. Be smart with this guy and make him a challenge for your players. He's not to be trifled with. But you shouldn't make him impossible. If you make him impossible, the game's going to be no fun, and there's no point in that one. So yeah, have fun, I guess. And that's the introduction and everything you need to know about Strahd von Zarovich. Part 2 is going to be up really soon, and I really hate to split this up into multiple videos. I want to take time and care to make sure that these videos are accurate and they're fun to watch, and I'm not rushing to get this out to you. It should be up really soon, and thanks for watching.